PTF and Mikey P back here with you with another video about Triple Crown prep races, specifically the Bob and Beverly Lewis at Santa Anita on Saturday. Part of some great racing we've got taking place between Gulfstream Park and Santa Anita. We're going to tell you about our favorite Gulfstream and Santa Anita combined wager a little bit later in the show. But Mikey, I think this is one that could fairly be described as a field that is short on numbers but long on talent. Would you agree with that?
Well, lots of Baffert talent anyway. I'm not sure about the other two entrants in the race, but we'll see. I mean, these prep races sometimes reveal themselves, and you find horses that step up. So they're in there for a reason.
Yeah, I was mostly not that the West Ward runner, the number 4 in here, certainly does have talent. Clock Tower looks like more of a turf horse, not one I'm considering in this spot. It's the Bob Baffert Cerberus, if you will, where my interest mainly lies. And I think we'll talk about them in a reverse. We'll talk about them in the order that they're drawn in. Why not? Let's start with Madaket Road. This runner stamped himself as one to keep an eye on, finishing second at graded stakes level on debut. We know that's not an easy thing to do. Back that one up with a facile win in a race where the form has worked out okay. I just don't know what to do with this horse. I was going to take a wait and see attitude. How enthusiastic are you about Madaket Road's chances?
I do think he has a puncher's chance. He's going to get the right trip in here because there is a ton of speed, especially if the 4 stays in this race. The 2, the 3, the 4 all like to be speed early. This horse is going to sit and has closed in 2 straight starts. I do think there's obvious talent here. They debuted in a stake, so that Baffert, that's not a typical thing for him necessarily. Faced Bullard there. We know how high some people are on that one, and then broke the maiden from off the pace also. I thought raced pretty well there. Stretches out now. It's going to get an off the pace trip. You get Dettori. There's positives.
Bullard currently number 1 on Eric DeCoster's official in the money top 10 list. Oh, he's number 2. That's right. Yeah. Barnes passed him. He was number 1 on the last one. I was only bringing that up to plug our top 10 video that you can find elsewhere on your YouTube channel. While you're there, make sure that you subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our YouTube exclusive content. As for Madaket Road, my other big concern about him is the distance. Sire Smoke Glacken, he was looking for somewhere to lay down around 7 furlongs in a mile, typically. So I'm not sure, despite this ownership group's penchant for picking ones that want to go long, I just have to take a wait and see attitude with this one. Number 2, Citizen Bull. This should be your favorite. This is the 2-year-old champion. This is a horse. I've been questioning the form of that Breeders' Cup Juvenile ever since it happened when East Avenue didn't break. The pace was only even. Gaming, who was second, done nothing for the form since. Look, I think it's going to end up being a good race in that there were horses in behind who, for various reasons, mainly they were against the flow and didn't show their best stuff. But I just can't get away from the idea that Citizen Bull was flattered. I'm against him in this spot. We're not giving our actual picks till the end of the video. But but I'm just curious to see if you think I'm being too harsh when it comes to Citizen Bull.
Yeah, I don't understand all the Citizen Bull hate. And I know how much you love wrestling. So you know what Ric Flair loves to say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And he is the man. He is the 2-year-old champ. And as far as I'm concerned, he probably should be undefeated. I thought he got a brutal ride in the Del Mar Futurity. I didn't like that trip. I said that at the time. I'm not redboarding here. I liked him in the American Pharaoh. I thought he had a puncher's chance in the Juvenile, what other people did not. This horse has speed. He has talent. And he's got grow-up potential for Baffert here. I mean, they paid $675 for this one. And what happens if he turns 3? Look at these works that he's got going here. This horse could be legitimate. And just because that gaming hasn't done much, well, that's really no indictment on this horse. So let's see what he does on Saturday.
It's less about gaming's failures and more than my in-the-moment impression that the race was not run the way that it was meant to be run. And if you ran that race 10 times, if you ran the race 100 times, it would have been run exactly that way. One of them was sort of the way that I saw it. I could be wrong. You make good points. And I will back up that you have been this horse's biggest fan. You tipped him on our airwaves before that win in the American Pharaoh, and you had nice things to say about him too as part of our In the Money Plus coverage, as I recall, or maybe it was just on the regular In the Money airwaves. But you're not making that up after the fact. We'll see how we feel about him, because I think he faces a serious test in the form of his stablemate, number 3, Rodriguez. This horse, yes, I know Timeform US had it as a bias track that day, took advantage. I don't think anybody in that field had ever run an 80 buyer speed figure before that. So the 101 looks a little high in that regard, but this horse has speed. He's already been a mile. And yes, I am enough of a figure monkey to go ahead and say that that 101 buyer speed figure is going to stand up against his 2 stablemates, who I have my various questions about. Rare thing for me here, I have a strong opinion, and it's about Rodriguez in this race. Take a second before we get to your official pick, how you might be playing the race, Mikey, to let you know that this video in particular sponsored by our friends at Santa Anita and Gulfstream, the Coast to Coast Pick 5. That is a bet we've been paying attention to. It's been running on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, combining racing from Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Incredibly player-friendly terms, $1 minimum, 15% takeout, and crucially, retail only. That means the computer bettors, the sharpest bettors who make up make up a very large amount of the betting handle. They're excluded from this. From a game selection point of view, you can't do better than the Coast to Coast Pick 5. This race is not a part of it, but there is one on Saturday. We've got you covered for it elsewhere on the In the Money Media Network. Check out inthemoneypodcast.com. I will have a write-up much closer to the time of all those races, and we'll have them all covered on various shows that you and I are hosting. So make sure you check it out and get involved. Also, keep your eye out. We got live streaming action coming up here covering these races at Gulfstream and Santa Anita on Saturday. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get a notification about the streaming content that's going to be coming. I think it's going to be noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the Friday before, where you can get that. And of course, you can check out the archive as well. Enough out of me, Mikey. Let's get to your thoughts. It seems pretty clear you're with Citizen Bull. I want to hear if you're with me that Rodriguez is a legitimate threat to him.
I mean, he's a threat, but I mean, I do think that there are negatives, and there are reasons to be suspicious of this one. This one got Lasix last time. Now, there's no Lasix in Derby preps, no Lasix in the Derby. They needed Lasix last time. Yes, this horse popped a big figure, but was up close on the lead on a day where the inside was very good, speed was very good. This horse faced Romanesque first time out. Now, I did like that horse, and I do think that that horse is legitimate, but, you know, this is the 2-year-old champ. There's no Lasix here. And a lot of times, you know, Baffert, you know, can put 2-3 horses in a race, and there is strategy involved. So I do think that they're going to want Citizen Bull to get off to a good start in his 3-year-old season. There's Derby points on the line. There's lots of things, I think, in Citizen Bull's favor in this race. And again, he is the man. Let's see what these others have, because I know he's proven it.
Tell me what you think is going to happen team tactics-wise for Baffert. See, I could see if they think, which I'm sure they do, their 2-year-old champ is a legit Derby contender, I could see them wanting Rodriguez to go and make the running and set the pace and have him come from off the pace this time, potentially, or just off the pace in that manner of a, you know, grinding Baffert horse. Do you see it differently? Do you think they'll allow Citizen Bull to have the lead?
I do think that Citizen Bull could win with either trip, honestly. I do think he's excelled with these speed races in its past too, but I don't want to say he was gifted the lead, but he was allowed to be able to dictate the race. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do that in here, especially if Clock Tower does show up. I mean, has, you know, 5 races and 5 1s next to his name. So he could go early with Rodriguez and have the 2 sit. Or Garcia could be aggressive early. I do think the 1 does sit in the race, so that does help Citizen Bull get an early spot. So it would not surprise me if he goes, but I think he can win with either trip.
Give me your final thought from a wagering point of view.
Against Rodriguez for me. I know you're with him. I'm against. I'm Citizen Bull with Madaket Road second, so I would be hitting that exacta.
For me, Rodriguez in picks, maybe Rodriguez to win. 8-5 or so. I'd be happy with that. And I think you got those other 2 to make the market. So even though it's a 5-horse field, might be an interesting opportunities for horizontals. We're Oppo here. We'll see how it plays out on Saturday afternoon. For more, much more, make sure you check out inthemoneypodcast.com and make sure to play the Coast to Coast Pick 5.